about prevention clinic, Pacific Research, just having your memory tested and having an idea of where you are now is the first step. So if you don't mind, you see these fabulous notepads in front of you. We did not bring these for these to sit on the table. I would like you to take these home with you, because you may not remember to do this tomorrow, but every day you'll see that says, schedule your free memory test. This is the first step to prevention, is actually having an idea of where you are right at this moment. These are 100% free. This is probably the best thing about my job, is every day I get to do these free assessments. And more often than not, I tell people they are sharper than a tack and that I'll see them again in a year. But ignorance is not bliss, it's simply ignorance. And coming to do this is truly painless and a great start in the right direction.
I'm going to be sort of the business end of things, and I will try and be brief, because this is all about clinical trials and perhaps deciding whether or not you want to join one. Before I talk about this, so I want to say a big, big thank you to the lady that's now trying to sneak out. Jamie Jarrett put this all together in a very short period of time, and I think she deserves a round of applause. Aside from Jamie, this evening we have some clinical coordinators here and our administrator, and I'm really hoping that after this brief discussion, you'll be willing to talk to them. If you have any questions, everybody will be available to discuss, whether it's about a trial or joining or just some of the issues related to Alzheimer's in general. This will be our agenda for this evening. We're going to talk a little bit about research, what clinical trials actually are, what the benefits for volunteering can be, some concerns which I'm sure you all have if you haven't participated in a clinical trial before, and a little bit about us. I think Dr. Isaacson probably made reference to this, but there are 5 medications available on the market that treat the symptoms, because we do not have any medication that is able to grab the cure. If you look up there, you'll see that we've been in business. Actually, we were one of the first in San Diego, along with a few other organizations, to do the original trials on Aricept. So we've been doing trials for a very long time, and I think Misty made comment about the fact that she was one of the younger members of the staff. I'm not going to make reference to how long I've been on board, but some people accuse me of being a part of this to prepare for my old age. Some of the current medications that treat the symptoms, as I've got here, are Aricept, Exelon, and I know you can read. Some of the future medications are the ones we'll be talking about tonight. So, how many people are aware of a website called www.clinicaltrials.gov? Oh, not enough people, actually. I really want you to circle this, because you can go to this website where there is a list of the trials in our area, and I'm not just talking about Alzheimer's trials, I'm talking about all kinds of trials, in an effort to determine whether or not there is a trial closest to you that you want to participate in, of which you'll notice that we're also listed. Now, the purpose of this is not only to give people information about what the trials are available in your area, but also the rigorous means by which trials are conducted. And one of the concerns that I'll get to is whether or not if one becomes a volunteer, are they, quotes, a guinea pig, which sounds somewhat demeaning. But the reality is that there are institutional review boards, or boards that are either governed by hospitals, universities, or independent, that keep strict oversight of trials. So it isn't as if there isn't bodies that are nonpartisan, not just have an investment in conducting the trial, but have an investment in making sure of patient safety. I've already mentioned, and has been mentioned tonight already, excuse me, that one of the benefits of participating in a clinical trial is the opportunity to have your memory tested and to secure some of the kinds of exams and and perhaps procedures that ordinarily your doctor may not be able to provide because of the expense. When we're doing trials, and they have to be very careful not only about who participates, but what is going on with you as you are participating in the trial. There's a variety of tests that are conducted throughout the trial. And I also want to mention, particularly for Alzheimer's trials, most of these trials are long enough so that we get a chance to get acquainted with you and get a chance to see how you are either maintaining, becoming stable, progressing. It's a long-term process by which we get acquainted with you and get acquainted with what's going on. But at every single juncture, there are not only tests, but other procedures provided. All of this information, by the way, is available to you when you're a volunteer. That information can be passed on to your physician. We can talk to your physician. We can give any kind of information that you may need, or you can keep it confidential if that, in fact, is something you would prefer to do. Okay, let's look at some common concerns here. Cost. I think I've already mentioned there's no cost to the participant. In fact, many of the trials that one participates in provides a stipend, and what I mean by that is you get a chance for time and travel, cost for time and travel. Now, studies are vary, and also the stipend varies as well. But the reality is we call upon you, and generally speaking, we call upon somebody else with whom you live or spend a fair bit of time with to participate with you. And the consequence of that is that we have to say thank you in some form or another, so a stipend is usually involved. The question often comes up about placebo. As Dr. Isaacson was very clear, there are no cures. And if there was a cure, maybe we would be in some sort of conversation about whether it's ethical placebo versus medication. But when there is nothing really available, this is your next best option. If you participate in a clinical trial, we can't guarantee you'll get the medication, but often the benefit is to not only participate, gain knowledge about your condition, gain information that you can pass on to your doctor, but oftentimes there's what they call an open label, which means as you complete the study, and if it is something that you choose to do, you can stay on the medication as a result given to you by the company. Now, they have, when I say open label, that means they have perhaps a year, perhaps more. I'm not here to tell you exactly how long those open label possibilities exist, but what I am saying to you is when they've seen some benefit, when the company knows that there is something here that they can offer, this is another way of saying thank you, participating in the trial. Could you just flip back. Okay. I often get the question, or the statement, excuse me, I often hear the statement, I don't like to take medicine. Okay. Most people don't like to take medicine until they have to. But what happened here this evening was a wonderful opportunity for you to get acquainted with us vis-a-vis a trial that Dr. Isaacson was talking about. That trial is the Acera trial. Remember he was talking about a nutritional substance, about the battery for the brain. Someone in the audience already asked where one could participate in the trial. Right here. And if you would like some information about that particular trial, we have three coordinators here this evening that can answer any questions in relationship to that particular trial. Thank you. So, how many people have ever been over to visit us on 4th Avenue? Oh, in Rancho Bernardo? Okay, Rancho Bernardo and 4th Avenue. Oh, we need some more visitors. Clearly we need some more visitors. We do free memory assessments. And when we do that, it is not in an effort to force you to come into a particular trial, because when we meet you, we don't know whether or not a trial is appropriate for you. But what we do is we do the assessment, We keep the information in our database. 6 months, maybe a year, you'll get a call again. We'll say, would you like to come in? Would you like to do a memory assessment? Perhaps we can compare the scores that you had the first time with the scores now. And you'd be surprised how many people are repeat customers just for the assessment alone. It's really invaluable because when there's questions, even family members have come, perhaps with their husbands, wives, mothers, fathers, and said, you know, my mom came before and we're really worried about her. We'd like to know if her scores are slipping. Is there any chance that we'd be able to get her tested once again? So there's a variety of means by which that kind of information can be invaluable to you. And we do these memory assessments by virtue of appointment, and the appointment, all you need to do is make a call. And since we're also located in Rancho Bernardo, and perhaps there are some people that are from the area here this evening, I hope you'll take advantage of the opportunity to go there. You will notice in this slide the number of trials that we are doing currently. All of them vary in terms of the nature of where somebody falls in the continuum in terms of the disease. So for some, it's mild, for some, it's moderate, and for some people, it's behavioral. So there are behavioral problems, behavioral symptoms that you probably, if you know anybody who is in that process of the disease and they are experiencing behavioral issues or behavioral problems. And we also know that there's not medications specifically to help. We have a great trial just in an attempt to try and see if we can get this particular medication FDA approved. But the most important one, we hope that you'll allow yourself to be introduced by this evening, is the Acera one, which I think Dr. Isaacson addressed it, but as I mentioned before, the coordinators will be able to tell you all about it after this evening. Go ahead, I think that's a little bit. That is a very brief explanation of who would be appropriate for the study. Thank you. So, volunteerism here. We need you to be a part of this process, because although it's very clear, Dr. Isaacson was very clear tonight, that if we all took better care of ourselves, if we were able to negotiate some of the issues earlier in life related to diet and exercise and stimulation, we wouldn't be talking about, perhaps we wouldn't be talking about it this evening. But just like any young people that you know, they believe they're immortal, and they don't have a sense of history. So why bother worrying about these things now in their youth when they're going to be getting older and that couldn't possibly touch them? But as Dr. Eisen said, there's ways of taking care of yourself now, and if in fact the disease process is part of your life currently, there are other avenues by which you might be able to get some help. Because nutrition alone doesn't reverse, nor does medication, but we've got to find a way to be able to get in front of it. And some of these medications, maybe treating just symptoms, but some of them are looking at ways of getting in front, ways of determining in an earlier stage how to prevent the decline. So more and more, as he had pointed out, we've got the tools and the equipment to be able to look at the variety of issues that impact the disease process, but we can only do this when we have volunteers. And as I mentioned before, there's so many things that go into this study. There's the MRIs, the PET scans, the CTs, and all the other information that you get. We do genetic testing on many of them. If you want the information, it's available to you. If you don't want the information, we don't have to give it to you. There is concerns that people have all the time about what does this study mean, and what do I do with this information. And we have the luxury as a dedicated clinical site where we don't have the bureaucracy that other situations may have, where we're able to spend time with you. Because I think Dr. Isaacson was pointing out that some of the physicians don't have the opportunity to spend the time to look at it from the full scope. And we have a chance to do that with you because we have time. And we also are very fortunate by virtue of being in the community as long as we have, to have information and resources. You know, you can't be in this field without connecting with caregivers and community resources and physicians and psychiatrists and other psychologists that provide service. And we have had that opportunity to connect with all these people. So coming to the clinic isn't just about participating in a trial. Yes, it's the reason we exist, but it's also a community service, and we would like to extend that to the people here this evening. And I sincerely hope that you'll consider giving us a call, even if it's just for questions. There's nothing else other than we ask. I mean, you ask and we try and answer some of those questions. We'd be happy to do that for you. Thank you. You were a great patient group this evening. We really enjoyed having you. We hope we'll do this again.